Other interesting business news, you have Salesforce missing the revenue goal and their stock crashes. It's not great for the #1 CRM company on the planet. Now, in case you're not familiar with Salesforce, they're one of, if not the most popular CRM platform on the planet. CRM being a acronym for Customer Relationship Management Platform. It's much more effective than the rudimentary Excel sheet that, let's be honest, many companies do. And I joke with my team that Excel is a database, which it's not technically, but a lot of companies use this as a fun way to jest with IT people, is ask them, what's their favorite database and say it's Excel. But I partially digress. When it comes to Salesforce, they're the premium product that have won everything from I was about to say Marathon Oil, a little brain fart there. They have some of the largest customers, especially in tech. It's specifically very valuable for business to business sales, where you have some of these notes where, let's say if you're just selling coffee, well, you really don't need to keep track of, oh, well, Bobby wants to buy this bag of coffee 6 months from now. That's not really business to consumer, in my opinion. That's not where you see the biggest value. For me, I see a lot of value in organizing long-term data where you have projects that are sometimes 6, 12, 18, even 24 months out. So it's a very great software, cloud-based, of course, where you can put all of your customer data, you can put your notes in, you can project your sales, and management uses it to predict not just inventory levels of components that they need for it, but also forecasting so everyone knows, what's our budget looking like, how much sales do we plan to come in, and it is a premium product. I think my company spends a pretty penny on it. It's what is it per license? I think the smallest package you can get is 500 per unit or per individual access, access to the site. And it goes up from there. Of course, you add bells and whistles and more users. Now, it is a premium product. I think in terms of entry-level CRMs, a lot of people use Microsoft Dynamics, and they'll joke and say it's free when they build it into the Microsoft billing. But Salesforce has been growing like a weed, and it's one of 3 companies that keeps San Francisco afloat. I'm only moderately kidding. Mark, their CEO, Mark, is very dedicated to the city. They have a huge tower there, and they invest heavily in the city where most companies are leaving. So when I think of San Francisco, I think of Levi Strauss, which is obviously the famous apparel company, and Salesforce. Salesforce, again, they're a premium product. The downside is when you're expanding that company, trying to get more of the SMB, also known as the small medium business market, well, they're more price sensitive. I mean, truth be told, when I first started my tech company, I justified that big bill because I was already trained on it because I previously worked for Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Aruba Networks. So the learning curve was basically nothing because I already knew the platform and I knew how to use the reporting to my effective. And truth be told, after I'll say between 6 and 8 months, I started to see more of an ROI in terms of, helping it keep track of all my notes and projections. But again, that was a big cost, and it was a pretty penny when I first started my company. It still is a pretty big cost. Now, for all these small businesses, they're starting to think, well, do we really need the best CRM on the planet? And I think more and more of them are saying, well, is this economy? Probably not. Now, specifically in terms of the share price dropping like a rock, this comes to us thanks to Jordan Novett over at CNBC, and they note specifically, quote, Salesforce shares plunge 16% on the first revenue miss since 2006. Now, I know I'm not a mathematician or a scholar, but that's nearly 20 years ago. And they've been doing great for so long. The first revenue miss. Now, granted, if you look at their sales and their growth, they're still going up, but again, you make these promises to Wall Street, the shareholders saying, hey, this is the revenue we expect to hit based on information, such as their pipeline of how much sales they project going forward and how they see the industry and where they think it can grow. And again, one of the worst things you can do if you're public traded is not hitting those benchmarks, not hitting those revenue goals. Because it causes a lot of people to lose faith in the company and they will subsequently sell the stock. And we see this time and time again. Now, going down specifically, they did know that revenue did grow 11% from a year earlier. So again, they are increasing, but the rate is what is concerning folks. There you see their infamous, I forget, CEO, Mark Benioff. I need to see, I forget what his actual pronunciation is. They lose me at the moment. They note that the earnings per share came in at $2.44, adjusted versus 2.38 expected. Revenue is still astronomically great. I wish I had this kind of revenue. The revenue is $9.13 billion. However, they did expect $9.17 billion. Now it looks like there's the actual stock price. Look at past 5 years. And again, this is why, Warren Buffett said best when it comes to stocks. The best methodology for him, and again, not financial advice, is you buy it and you let it sit for years. Because overall, more often than not, companies do grow in value with the exception of things like Lucid and Rivian, pun moderately intended. Now, Salesforce, again, overall, their stock lifetime has gone up to 2,945.49%. Still astronomically good. Past 5 years, it's still up 82.5%. Past 1 year, oh, it's about break even. They're currently trading. Granted, by the time this video is rendered, it'll be different and uploaded. Nevertheless, currently trading for $217.09 per share. Now, year to date, still up 6%, but you start to look a little bit closer. Again, this is a short term. In the past 1 month, it's down 19.46%. And if you're just tuning in, there's a little bit of if you're just listening and not seeing visually, it's kind of petering along for about a month, and then bam, it crashes. Because again, it's because of this news. And you look at last week, it went down 4. And that one day of the announcement went down 20.08%. So it's quite concerning in the short term. And again, if you look at the 5-year trend, I mean, they peaked, what was it, during the pandemic probably? Yeah. $307.30 per share. Looks like is when it peaked during the pandemic, which, again, there are a lot of companies that just grew exponentially that, again, justified them having to purchase things like Salesforce. Looks like the lowest was November in 22 is $128. And disappointingly enough, they don't even pay dividends, which, man, most tech companies don't do. Now, interestingly enough, again, this is terrible news for Salesforce, but I wouldn't even consider it a business blunder because, again, long term, you look at and again, it's not financial advice, but I just say, I interact with the software on a daily basis. It's a solid solution. They have good support. But again, it is premium. And the question is, how much can they continue to scale? And the renewal rate is pretty consistent because most businesses, when it comes to CRMs, it's a sticky solution. And that's one of those business terms where once they buy it, they're they have high propensity to rebuy it. Because to actually migrate your data, all your customer data to a new CRM, that can cost a pretty penny. Oh, more specifically, a pretty vintage penny, since modern pennies are 99.99% zinc and just copper plated and also known as trash. But nevertheless, let me know. Have you ever actually heard of Salesforce? Do you use them at your place of employment? Do you think the stock will actually go up in the short term? Maybe in a couple days it'll just skyrocket exponentially because they land a big account. Who knows? But as always, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.